Hello, lovely people. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you. My name's Mark. Not Defining is a place where we talk about all things sexuality, all things gender, all things around, in between, and without, so that you can feel like you're most confident, whatever your identity is. So today, I'm going to be answering a question which I love to talk about. Is being LGBTQ natural? So, quick answer is yes, it is. And here is why. We are led to believe in most societies that being LGBT falls outside of the natural realm of things. Most of the time, heteronormativity and repressive laws against LGBTQ people are justified with the argument that it is unnatural. People think it's unnatural because of the reductive assumption that in nature, animals have sex between males and females to procreate. And that is the purpose of sex. Now, actually, that is a load of hogwash. If you speak to any ecologist, that's a scientist who studies animals, basically, they will tell you that homosexuality, bisexuality, asexuality, heterosexuality, and everything in between exists in most animal species that we have studied. Surprising, isn't it? Now, why is it that we never hear about this? Well, we never hear about it because our human society has decided that we don't like LGBT people. And therefore, when we study nature, we decide to leave out the parts where animals have sex with all different other animals and in all different kind of ways, and have lots of different bonds and relationship styles and all the rest of it. We only focus on the heteronormative parts because we have something called confirmation bias, and this is where we are researching something and we try to apply what we think onto it, and it's a very, very poor way of doing science. We will see nature documentaries never talking about the fact that male to male, female to female interactions happen. It's always about the male chasing the female. Now, why would these kind of relationships exist in nature? Surely, if our role is to procreate, wouldn't homosexuality and asexuality and bisexuality have genetically died out? Well, the answer is that it's extremely beneficial in terms of the survival of a group of animals to have adults who don't necessarily procreate or who don't focus all of their energy on procreation. Actually, you'll see in many species that it's only a small group of alphas who actually procreate. They spend most of their time fighting and having sex, whereas the vast majority of the other animals will perform other duties. They may indeed procreate, they may have sex, they may take part in sexual activities, but they will also do other things and they won't focus all of their time on procreation. This is really helpful because the alpha procreators are normally quite aggressive characters. They're normally focused on just that, and they're not often the most kind of social of the group. You need those betas and the other members of the pack to cohese the society, to look after the young, to hunt, to forage, to protect, and to do all of the other things that animals do, depending on species. It also helps, particularly because there are a lot of mothers and fathers who abandon their young or are killed. Okay, and it is evolutionarily advantageous to have some adults who don't have their own young who can look after the young if something happens to their parents. Okay, so when we talk about LGBTQ people adopting in human society and we go, oh, that's wrong, actually look at the natural world and you'll find that that is actually really advantageous to have those other adults around. If you look at human society as well, it's perfectly reasonable and helpful to have those uncles, those aunts, those godparents, those adult friends who are kind of like babysit or, you know, foster carers, adoptive parents. We have so many young people who need care, and we have so many heterosexual parents who are extremely irresponsible, or for whatever reason they pass away or something happens. You need those other influences in society to help bring up the young. Now let's talk about gender roles. In this context, it also helps to have males who are slightly less aggressive and more able to play a role in helping the children or interacting with females who aren't necessarily going to be their sexual partner. Okay, you need males who can control themselves, males who aren't just going to go and have sex with every female they see or go and fight with every male they see. That's just not conducive to a good society. Whether you're an animal or a human, we all know those people. If we had society built up of all of those people, it'd be pretty horrible to live in. Yeah, we need people with brains. We need people who are creative, especially now in our modern society where we have such a complex kind of social, economic structure. We are desperate for people who can be leaders, but who can also be sensitive. We need people who are technologically minded. We need people who are articulate and literate, people who are creative, people who are innovative. Yeah? And for women as well, it has helped over history to have women who can play a role in protecting the young, but also play a role in defending the society. Or if you don't have very many males or you don't have very many females, you can kind of like have those ones in between who can perform a variety of roles, and it's not just strictly separated. Okay, if your community is being attacked and the males who are supposed to defend you are not there, or you need backup, you might need a really strong woman to come and pick up a weapon and help to defend. So actually, societies have evolved to benefit from a variety of gender roles. So why is humanity so obsessed with this monogamous heteronormative structure? Well, I think the answer lies in economic control. So human beings have developed a structure of economic control whereby some groups of human beings will hold the reins to the means of production in an economy, and other human beings will be ordered into little economic units where they can produce either farming under feudalism or factories under the post-industrial structure. Basically, people want people to produce money and wealth for them. And that is sadly how our world works. Whether you think it's a good or a bad thing is another video. But we have decided that having men and women living together, producing babies who can then also be workers, is a very controllable and it's a very productive format in the interests of the capitalist system or the feudal system or whatever system of control that humans have held over one another in history. So actually it's beneficial to the wealthy elite, to those in power, to actually encourage that form of structure. So whatever you think about this theory, the important thing to remember is that if anybody tells you that homosexuality or LGBTQ plus people are unnatural, you can tell them, well, they're not. The other most important thing is just to remember that we can follow our own natural desires, our own natural state of being. And whatever that looks like for you is okay. The healthiest, most natural thing for you to do is to listen to your body, to listen to your heart, and to follow what makes you feel most fulfilled. That is what Not Defining is all about. And if you're having relationships, make sure that you are following what naturally feels good to you. We have this thing called the relationship treadmill, okay, which is like you meet someone and then you've got a date and then you've got to fall in love and then you've got to get married and then you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to behave like this and behave like that. The man's got to be like this, the woman's got to be like that. It's all got to be da 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 da. This comes from an artificial conception of relationships. It's not natural. There's nothing natural about marriage. There's nothing natural about romantic love. There's nothing natural about being monogamous. There's nothing natural about religious belief and capitalism. All of this, like all of these things are human constructs. So just listen to your heart, listen to your body, and do what feels natural to you. That's the way you're going to be healthiest, and that's the way you are going to survive as an animal in this world to the best of your ability. Thank you so much for listening. Please check out my other videos, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye for now.